I don't know who you are. I don't know what you want. If you're looking for ransom, I can tell you I don't have money. But what I do have are a very particular set of skills. Skills I've acquired over a very long career. Skills that make me a nightmare for people like you. If you let my daughter go now, that'll be the end of it. I will not look for you. I will not pursue you. But if you don't, I will look for you. I will find you. And I will
rally the comic book collecting community. Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to another video with Swaggelhaus. I wish we were having a video on something a little more positive this morning, but unfortunately, the video that you clicked in, the thumbnail that you saw, is 100% true. I was recently scammed for over $5,000 of comic books out of my own collection. So in this video, we're going to talk about it. We're going to break it down. I'm going to let you guys know what the current situation is. And if you watch this video and you actually might be able to offer some help in any kind of way, I would very much like your counsel. You know, so much of the collectible world, the comic book collecting community, at least in the online spaces, is built on two things: trust and good faith, right? If you go into a claim sale online and you claim a book, the person selling that book is trusting you and in good faith is going to put that book to the side and assume that you are good for it and that they're going to take it off the wall and everyone else in the claim sale is not going to buy it. When you, the buyer, make a claim on something, whether it's in a Facebook group or Instagram or whatever, and you buy a book and you send the money, specifically, even especially through friends and family, you have trust and you are putting good faith into the seller that when that book arrives, it's going to arrive in the same condition and be the same book that you ended up paying for. Well, that good faith, that trust was definitely broken for me in this particular scenario. So let's kind of get into this here. Now, a couple things first. I'm going to read to you guys the kind of the text exchange that I had with this particular person. I'm going to change their name at this current moment. I am not at this time going to expose their specific account in this video here today because I currently still follow them on social medias. I have no idea if they know I have a YouTube channel right here. They might be watching this video right now. But either way, I don't necessarily want to alert them to the fact that I am taking certain actions, specifically with the comic book community right now, to make this right. So for the sake of this video, I'm going to be changing the name in the discussion, and then maybe in a later video, I will definitely share with you guys this account that you should watch out for. But I happen to be on Instagram, in case you guys don't know, Swaggelhaus Comics at Instagram. And through my Instagram suggested feed, there are a few various hashtags that I follow, like specifically for, comic book sales and things like that. And I was actually pushed through my feed a X-Men #1. If you guys know, the 1963 book, the first appearance of the X-Men, a low-grade copy, a raw copy. And in that particular post, it was being advertised that the book was for sale or for trade. So I happened to go to this particular account that was advertising the book. I noticed that they were in some way, some kind of dealer, so to speak, specifically that in a lot of card stuff, vintage cards, Pokemon cards, things of that nature, and some comic books here and there. And I actually did notice that this particular account was followed by other various accounts on Instagram that I interact with. So, for me, even though I had never spoken to them prior to this event, I did see that they have maybe had some interactions with people I know out there in the community. So there was a little bit of a bridge of trust built through that. I was going through their post. It seemed like on this particular X-Men #1 post, there were people I knew who had interacted with it had even commented on the particular thread. I think I saw a couple like, DM sent type of stuff. So I figured, okay, well, let me reach out and see if this book is still available. So the first message I sent to him was, and for the sake of this video, I'm going to call this guy Alex. Let's just say Alex is not his name, but I'm just going to call him Alex. Hey, Alex, hope you're having a good week. Was curious if that X-Men 1 was still available. He writes me back right away. Yep, it is. I had a deal in place, but it fell through. Cool. Do you happen to have some extra pictures I could look at? Yeah, sure. Give me a second. Are you looking to trade or to buy outright? I guess either option. If you happen to be open to trade, are you looking for anything in particular? He then sent me a number of pictures of the book. Clearly, this was the same pictures of the book. Again, I don't know if he actually has the book or if this is other pictures that he just happens to have in his Instagram Rolodex or whatever the case is. But, he had every single angle of the book that you could imagine. He then goes on to say, okay, so I had a bunch in my phone. Sorry if there were duplicates. I was just sending the ones I thought you'd want to see. I'm looking for Hulk 1 through 6, early ASM keys, 181, yada, yada, yada. Let me know your thoughts. Thank you for your time. A day passes. Don't have any of those specific books you're looking for, but I might have some other keys for trade, or I could do cash. Not sure if you have any wiggle room on your price. Wondering if you would consider doing $5,500 for it. He responds with, I'd rather do a trade for more value than less cash, actually, which, interesting as I think about this right now, going back through this text thread, I realized that, that could have been a red flag had I known what I know now. I mean, most people would take cash over book trade. This seems to be the hustle that this person does. I'm only going to use the money for books anyways, lol. I'm asking 8K, so I'd like to be a bit closer to that. I can use any major silver or bronze key as long as it's an upgrade from a copy and maybe partial cash. And I said, gotcha, would that be 8K for trade? In your post, you said 7K. I can maybe put a set of books together. Would you want to keep it to, a maximum amount? And then he said, yeah, 8K trade value. If there are key books, I could use them. I'd do up to 7. And then I didn't respond. He said, would you consider 5,900 shipped? So, very strange that he went from 8K to 5,900. Again, I didn't see it as a red flag necessarily, but he says, I've had multiple offers and one deal for this that fell through. I just want to move on for it. So if you're serious, I can do that. The next day I write him, anyway, we could do 5,750. I'm trying to be a negotiator here. I can pay you today. And then he responds with, okay, I have to ask, what books would you be willing to trade for the X-Men? Can you send a picture or two? I want to work something out if we can. I can ship first thing in the AM as tomorrow is my late day. Has to be keys. Don't mind if they're raw. I end up sending him a bunch of pictures of books that I have available for trade. We kind of go back and forth. This is just the details of, putting the books all together. And then eventually he says, that if you can put these 6 books together, which end up being a Fantastic Four, number 49, a Tales to Astonish, number 63, an Avengers, number 8, a Marvel Spotlight, number 5, a Werewolf by Night, number 32, and a Fantastic Four, number 52, 6 books that kind of equal, depending on how you want to evaluate it, anywhere from $500 to $5,500 worth of trade value. And so we kind of negotiate this idea of like, okay, I'll send you the books and then I can pay you the difference and we can agree to that price. So he's like, okay, great, let's talk on the phone. So we end up actually at this point getting on the phone with each other just to talk it all through and to square out the details and just kind of talk about, okay, like I'm going to send you the books, you send me the book, let's ship it out together on the same day. And then when I get the books, we can exchange the kind of like the cash on top of that, the PayPal and everything. So at this point, to me, I've talked to this person on the phone. He has an account that other people I know in the community follow. He seems to be a normal person, at least from what I can tell. So that trust was built up. We later go on to exchange our information, name, address, etc. if this is his real name. And then he goes, okay, perfect. Good working with you. We'll send tracking info tomorrow. Enjoy the book. Thanks for the deal. And I really enjoy the books I'm getting. So all seemed pretty good at that point. The next day, he ends up sending me pictures of my address written on a USPS box that he is presumably mailing out. Now, he had it handwritten on the box, and for me, based on the, age of his voice, he, seemed like maybe he was a little bit older, on the older side. So, it's not out of the question to me that he would be kind of handwriting it and need to like go to the post office to, have them print out a packing slip. Similarly, I end up showing him my packages that I had boxed up for my books. We end up exchanging the tracking numbers with each other. I am actually, at that moment, I'm able to see that the tracking number he sent me was in fact a real tracking number with USPS. So he did in fact pay for something. And one of the interesting things about the details, and this is like a very specific thing, but something that when I give people my address, the city in which I live pops up as another city because, over the years, the city has actually changed its borders. And so, he was like, oh, USPS said that you're actually in this city. Is that the same thing? And I was like, oh, yeah, sometimes that happens with the mailing. So it's one of those things where it's like, okay, clearly he is shipping something. He put in the effort to make this address accurate. So, at the time, at least, it seemed like, okay, everything was looking good. So that was actually last weekend. Both packages went their various ways and did their thing. It was Monday morning that rolled around. That was the day that both packages should be arriving. So like a responsible sender, I went to the tracking info of the books that I sent and realized, okay, they are, out for delivery today. Looks like they should be arriving safe and sound. And when I looked up his tracking info, something all of a sudden happened where when I saw it over the weekend, I could see that his package did in fact make it to LA, and it was at the sort of local distribution center. So usually when that happens, as you guys I'm sure know in your own situations, it always ends up at the distribution center, and then usually the next day it goes out for delivery, and that's when you usually end up getting it. So up until that point, the package was here in the Los Angeles area. And then Monday morning rolled around, and the day that it was supposed to be out for delivery, or the day it was supposed to be delivered, all of a sudden it got a red flag notice. And it had a change where all of a sudden it said, this package is being returned to sender. So very, very curious. And I ended up shooting him a message. Hope you had a great weekend. Looks like the packages should be arriving to you later today. I just looked up the info on my package, and it said that it is being returned to sender because of an incorrect address, which is weird because what you had was right, even with the updated city that I mentioned to you guys earlier. And then he writes me back, that's insane. Let me check it right now. I'm at work at the moment. I know for a fact I had the right address. I'm about to leave work. Just came in to drop something off. No prob. I just got off the phone with USPS. All they could tell me was the address was incomplete. I gave them a call just to see like, hey, why is this being returned to sender? And, they were unwilling to really disclose anything to me. All they could say is that the address that you say that this package is going to is not the one that is actually on this particular package. So then he asks if, I could send him the customer service number for USPS. He mentions to me that they end up giving him kind of the same information, that the address was wrong. And he's thinking like, oh, did the person at USPS like enter it in incorrectly when he gave it to them? But he says like, if it gets returned to me, I will overnight it back to you right away. And then we end up actually getting on the phone and we're talking about it, and he's, apologizing. He's like, I don't know what happened. Like, I know for a fact that the address that you gave me was 100% correct. And, he does a lot of things that I think are really interesting now that I look back on it. But, other stuff in this, the previous time we talked on the phone and even the messages, like he often says like, oh, I have to coordinate with my wife. I want to make sure my wife is home to sign for it. Oh, we just had the kids at school. And so he's mentioning like a lot of these things, which I feel like is part of the tactic, right? It makes me think, okay, he's like a normal person. He's got a wife, he's got a kid, he has to go to work, he's got the school thing. And so I just think of him as like a normal dude. And by the way, at that point, my packages did in fact arrive to him. He told me over the phone, yes, my wife received them, but I'm not even gonna open the boxes yet because I wanna make sure that you get your book before I do it in case I have to ship this all back to you. So we give it a few days that week, and I eventually check in with him on Thursday. Hopefully it comes today. I think time-wise that would track. He says, yes, wife is on the lookout. I'll keep you posted as soon as it shows up. Don't hear from him that day. On Friday, I text him once again. Any luck? He texts me later in the day. Hi, sorry for the late response. Working, still nothing today again. I called the post office. They did trace it. It'll be at my house tomorrow. I'm really excited. I'm so happy that it's not lost. The book was obviously really expensive. I also texted you way earlier, but it says that it didn't go through. I don't know what that really meant. I wrote him back, woot, glad they got eyes on it. Guess send me a text tomorrow when you have it, and we can arrange a second delivery. And he says, I will for sure. Going home for lunch to get it, lol. The next day arrives. This is now Saturday. The book was delivered, he says, exclamation. Can you send me the address once again? I'm headed home right now. I send him my address again. He confirms like, oh, would you want a signature for delivery? I say, yes, sure, that'd be great. And that ends up being the weekend. So Monday rolls around and I check back in with him and I say, hey, Alex, just checking in. Was there a tracking number for the package that you are sending back to me? Thanks. He says, hi, yeah, there is. Shit, sorry, I didn't send it. It's in my car. When I go to lunch, I'll grab it and forward. Sorry about that. And then I say, no probs. Do you happen to know if it was coming today? I want to make sure I'm home so I can arrange, whatever I'm doing that day. I told her Monday delivery, she said she couldn't be for sure because of the holiday. So I'm pretty sure it's tomorrow. Okay, fair enough. He never ends up sending me the tracking number that time around. So Tuesday rolls around and I say, hey, just touching base, any luck with that tracking number? And then I don't hear from him. And then Thursday rolls around and I once again say, hey, Alex, checking in. Haven't received the package yet. Do you have any info on when the delivery was expected? Obviously, I didn't hear from him again. And then Friday rolls around and I say, hey, Alex, just touching base again. Any update? I didn't hear from him again. So by this point, I'm feeling pretty bad overall. I'm having a lot of side conversations with people I talk to a lot about comic books. And, I've kept them posted with, the whole trade and everything that's going on. I even mentioned like, oh, the package was sent back to me. And, we're all trying to keep it generally pretty positive. We're thinking like, okay, well, he's just a normal dude. Like it seems totally fine. I guess it's possible that, someone could have fat fingered the address and it got returned back to him. And I'm sure that he'll ship me the book. But at this point, because he's now not texted me back multiple times in a row and he's supposed to give me this tracking number, I'm definitely starting to get really nervous at this point. So I end up giving him a call. And this is really where the clear indication that, oh my God, I totally got scammed was alerted to me, is that when I actually called him this time around, his number went straight to the busy signal, which was very, very strange. And I was like, okay, well, I guess he could be on the phone right now if that's still a thing. I didn't even know busy signals were still a thing. So I ended up giving him another call. Of course, it goes to busy signal once again. I think I wait an hour or so to try again. It's busy signal once again. So at this point, I actually get my wife to call from her cell phone, and then she calls the number as well. And this time it actually rings, but goes straight to like an automated voicemail. It's not actually his voice. It's one of those like machine voices. So very, very strange that my phone number doesn't work with his cell phone anymore, which is, I guess, an indication that maybe he blocked me or screened my phone or something like that. So I end up writing him a message on Instagram once again. I don't hear from him for quite some time. And then I follow up once again and write him, great, your number no longer works. So I'm going to have to assume that this was a scam. I see you online right now because, on Instagram, you can see people online. I see you online right now, so I know you're seeing this. Just let me know if this is a misunderstanding before I take action. It has been multiple days and the rest of the weekend. So it was at that point that I realized, okay, this was a total scam all along. He now has my books. I never received the book in return, and I am out over $5,000 of inventory. So this is kind of where we are, and I think it's pretty safe to assume that his account seems to be a scam account. There are now red flags as I look through it. Even in more detail, even from prior, there were things that was like, okay, like, yeah, this seems like a normal account. But now when I really, really dig into things, I'm like, okay, there are some definitely red flags here. And, I definitely made a lot of mistakes in this process. Like, I think I trusted way too much with this. For me, you guys have watched the channel for a little bit of time. I think you guys maybe get a sense of me. I tend to be like the Ned Stark in the Game of Thrones. I think my biggest flaw here is that I tend to try to be honorable. I tend to try to be trustworthy. And, in this particular instance, I got my head chopped off because I was definitely way too trustworthy with this particular person. So it is really, really unfortunate. But the story is not over. That is what happened. And here we are today. So I guess there's a few things that I would want to ask you guys if you're out there. Maybe you can help see if there's any way that we can kind of right this situation. If you happen to be a viewer of the channel and you are native to the Chicago area, please actually reach out to me. either on Instagram or on email. Instagram, I will show you guys on the screen. Email, you guys can see it in the YouTube description. I would definitely appreciate anyone who can offer some sort of boots on the ground support out there. If this is a situation that has ever happened to you guys before and you have some guidance on what can be done, that would be very much appreciated. If you are an LCS in the Chicago area, or you know LCSs in the Chicago area, I think it would actually be very helpful if you can kind of get the word out to those particular stores, because obviously this person's going to do maybe a couple different scenarios. I mean, he could just keep the books because he wants to keep them, or he might be trying to, pawn them off to local comic book stores in the Chicago area. I'm going to right now put the books on my screen that have the certification numbers, so you guys can actually see if these are the books that happen to show up in the Chicago area. Just maybe keep an eye out for them. I'll also point out there are some things, like obviously if this guy is smart, if he knows what he's doing, if this is like someone who does this scam, he's clearly, should crack them out of the cases and, either sell them raw or reholder them or whatever the case may be. It's going to be tough to identify certain books once he cracks them out of the case. But there are two books that I think can clearly be, identified, most specifically the Marvel Spotlight #5. That particular book has two distinct tape pulls on it, as well as it has a Roy Thomas signature. So if that book ends up showing up in any of your comic book purchasing spheres, this could be either locally in Chicago, or if you guys, out there who are watching want to, follow newly listed books on eBay or other accounts and stuff like that. If you happen to see any of these books pop up, definitely let me know. Definitely see if there is somebody out there that is selling them. If you're someone in the state of Illinois that happens to work in either the law profession, maybe you could give me some counsel in terms of what options I have from a civil standpoint. Or if you're actually somebody who works in real estate in the Illinois area, I can also ask potential help of you, at least in terms of what maybe can be done with the information that I have. So that's my story. Currently scammed out of $5,000. I think this is a situation that is worth talking about, because I definitely made a lot of mistakes, and I think later on, after we figure out what can be done, or however this current thing plays out, I'll definitely do videos talking about the mistakes I made, and maybe offer you guys some thoughts into what I could have done differently. But for now, we're gonna just try to see if we can right the ship. So I'm asking the comic book fam, the comic book community, the collecting community. I think scamming is obviously it sucks to lose your books. Obviously it sucks to be out on this much money. I mean, at the end of the day, it is kind of about the money. But in a very close second, what it is about too is just the disrespect. I started the video talking about this idea of this whole community in terms of the online world. A lot of what we do, I know a lot of you guys buy online. It's all built on, good faith and trust. And this guy who is abusing that trust and that good faith and scamming people is just fucked up. It's just really, really fucked up. And it's just disappointing. And yeah, if you're somebody out there who can offer some guidance or help in this particular situation, I would very much appreciate that. I have a very particular set of skills. 1, I don't have kids, so I'm very, very mobile. 2, I work for myself. I work from home, which means I can work in Chicago. And 3, I got this YouTube channel. So I will definitely keep you guys updated on everything that's happening in this situation. Get the word out. Help me see if we can get these books back. Anyways, that's all I have for this video. I will see you guys in the next one.